My name is Julia. I am 28 years old. I never thought I would be a single mother. But life doesn't always go the way we want. Sometimes it breaks your heart before it gives you something beautiful. I met Alex when I was 23. He worked at a small phone shop near my apartment. He was funny, kind, and always smiling. Every day when I walked past, he would wave and say, "Hi, Julia." I didn't even know how he learned my name. One day he gave me a small white flower. I laughed and said, "What's this for?" He said, "Because you always smile when you pass by. And your smile makes my day better." That was the start of our story. We went for coffee that weekend. We talked for hours. He told me about his family. He came from a small town. His parents had a grocery store. He moved to the city for a better life. I told him about my job at the library and my love for books. Soon we were together almost every day. We walked in the park, cooked dinner at my place, and watched movies until midnight. Alex was sweet and gentle. I felt lucky to have him in my life. I thought, maybe this is the man I'll marry. One night we sat by the river. The moon was bright and the water was calm. Alex looked into my eyes and said, "One day I want to build a life with you. A family. A little house. Maybe 2 kids." I smiled. "I want that too," I said. 3 months later I found out I was pregnant. Before we go on, tell me, where in the world are you listening from? I love hearing from you. Now, let's go back to the story. I took the test alone in the bathroom at work. My hands were shaking. When I saw the 2 lines, I sat on the floor and cried. Not because I was scared, but because I was happy. I thought Alex would be happy too. That evening I told him. He didn't smile. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he asked, "Are you sure?" I nodded. Yes. I took 2 tests. His face changed. He looked down at the floor and said, "I'm not ready." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" I asked. "You said you wanted a family." He replied, "Not now. Not like this. I'm not ready to be a dad." I felt cold. I held his hand, but he pulled away. "Please," I said. "This is our baby." But he shook his head. "I'm sorry, Julia. I can't do this." And that night he left. The next day I called him. His phone was off. I went to the shop. He wasn't there. His coworker told me he left. Said he's moving back to his hometown. I stood there feeling like the floor had disappeared under my feet. He was gone. 4 days I stayed in bed. I cried into my pillow. I didn't eat. I didn't go to work. I held my belly and whispered, "I'm so sorry, baby. I don't know how to do this." But something inside me refused to give up. I went back to work. My boss, Claire, was kind. She gave me fewer hours and told me to take breaks. My coworkers were supportive. One of them, Maria, started bringing me soup and warm bread every Thursday. My belly grew slowly. People at the bus stop smiled at me. A few offered me a seat. I tried to stay strong, but some days I cried in the bathroom at work. I didn't want people to see me like that. I went to doctor appointments alone. In the waiting room I saw other women with their husbands. Some held hands. Some laughed. I just looked at my phone and kept my head down. But the first time I heard the baby's heartbeat, everything changed. It was strong, fast, like a tiny drum. I closed my eyes and smiled. I was not alone. She was with me. My daughter. I started preparing. I bought small baby clothes, soft blankets, little socks. I didn't have much money, but I saved every extra dollar. I watched videos about birth and read books on being a mom. I wrote letters to my baby. I told her about the world, about music, colors, and love. I told her I would do my best even if I had to do it alone. One cold night in December, I felt a strong pain in my back. I stood up and it hurt again. I checked the time. Then 10 minutes later, another pain. My baby was coming. I packed a small bag and called a taxi. I held my belly and whispered, "We'll be okay, little one." It was raining outside. The road was dark. My hands were shaking, but my heart was ready. At the hospital, the nurse helped me to a bed. The pain got worse. I cried. I screamed. I held the side of the bed and bit my lip. Hours passed. I was tired. I felt like I couldn't go on. Then I heard it, a cry. A loud, beautiful cry. "It's a girl," the doctor said. "She's healthy." They placed her on my chest. She was red, warm, and perfect. She moved her tiny fingers and let out another soft cry. I cried too, but not from pain. "I'm your mama," I whispered, "and I love you more than anything." I named her Lena. The first night with Lena was the hardest night of my life. He cried a lot. I didn't know why. I fed her. I held her. I sang to her. Nothing worked. I was tired. I hadn't slept for more than 30 minutes. My body hurt from the birth. But still I kept holding her. The nurse came in and helped me calm her. She showed me how to hold her better, how to burp her. Lena stopped crying for a while. She looked at me with tiny sleepy eyes. I looked back and whispered, "It's okay. We'll learn together." The hospital kept us for 2 days. Then they said we could go home. I packed Lena's clothes and wrapped her in a soft pink blanket. She was so small. I held her tight as we got into the taxi. The driver smiled at me and said, "First baby?" I nodded. "You'll do great," he said kindly. When we got home, the apartment felt different. It was no longer just mine. It was ours. Me and Lena. I placed her gently on the bed. I looked around. There was no crib yet. No baby chair. I had bought only the basics. A few clothes, some diapers, and a baby bottle. That night, Lena cried again. I walked with her in my arms. I walked around the room, then the kitchen, then back. I talked to her, sang to her, and even cried a little. But I didn't stop. This was my life now. And I was ready for it. The first few weeks were hard. I barely slept. I forgot to eat. Sometimes I would sit down and just cry. I missed my old life. I missed having someone to help. I missed feeling rested. But every time Lena smiled in her sleep, I felt a little light inside me. Maria visited me every weekend. She brought food and sometimes baby clothes. One day she came with a small crib. "A friend gave it to me," she said. "You need this." I hugged her. "Thank you," I said. "You have no idea how much this helps." My mom lived in another city. She wanted to come, but she had health problems. We talked on the phone often. "You're strong," she told me. "I raised you alone too. And now look, you're doing it too." Hearing those words gave me power. I started learning how to manage time better. When Lena slept, I washed clothes or cooked something simple. When she was awake, I played soft music and talked to her. I told her stories. I told her how I met her father. and I told her that he left. But I never said it in anger. I just told her the truth. Some days were lonely. Very lonely. On weekends I saw families in the park. Couples walking with strollers. Fathers holding babies. I felt like crying. I wanted that too. I wanted someone to hold Lena so I could rest for 1 hour. Just 1 hour. But then Lena would grab my finger. Or smile while looking at me. And that was enough. Her tiny fingers made me feel strong again. When Lena turned 3 months old, I went back to work. I worked part-time at the library again. My neighbor Rosa helped take care of Lena. She was kind and older. Her children were grown. She said, "Taking care of Lena feels like having a granddaughter again." It was hard leaving Lena at first. I kissed her forehead every morning and said, "Mama will be back soon." I took the bus to work. On the way I watched people. Everyone looked busy. Some looked happy. Some looked tired. I wondered if anyone else was carrying pain like mine. At the library, my coworkers smiled when they saw me. "You're glowing," one said. I laughed. "That's sweat and no sleep," I joked. But part of me did feel proud. I had come back. I was doing this. I used my breaks to pump milk in the small staff room. It wasn't easy, but I did it. Every drop mattered. I carried the bottle home in a small cooler and gave it to Rosa for the next day. This was my routine now. Lena grew fast. At 6 months, she sat up on her own. At 8 months, she said, "Ma." The first time I heard it, I froze. "Say it again," I whispered. She looked at me, smiled, and said it again. "Ma." I cried. I had waited for that sound. One night, I looked at Lena sleeping. Her tiny chest moved up and down. Her hands were curled into small fists. I sat beside her and held her soft foot in my hand. "I'm sorry your dad left," I whispered. "But I'm here. I'll always be here." At times I wondered where Alex was. Did he ever think of her? Did he even remember me? But I didn't call. I didn't send pictures. He made his choice. And I made mine. Lena turned 1 year old on a sunny Sunday in May. I made her a small birthday cake. It wasn't perfect, but I made it with love. Maria and Rosa came over. They brought balloons, a soft toy rabbit, and big smiles. We put Lena in a little pink dress. She clapped her hands when we sang to her. I held her in my arms as we blew out the candle together. "Make a wish," Maria said. I whispered in Lena's ear, "I wish your life will always be full of love." After everyone left, I cleaned the plates and sat on the couch. Lena crawled over and placed her head on my leg. My heart felt full. I was tired, but I was also proud. 1 year. I did it. We did it. Time passed fast. Lena started walking. She fell often but always stood up again. I laughed and clapped every time she took a step. I also started sleeping a little more. She began sleeping through the night. But with each new step there were new challenges. Daycare was expensive. I wanted to give her the best care, but my salary wasn't enough. I applied for help from the government. I filled out forms and stood in long lines. One woman at the office looked at me kindly and said, "You're doing a great job." That one sentence stayed in my heart. I started cooking more at home to save money. I walked instead of taking the bus. I bought second-hand clothes for Lena. But I never let her go without what she needed. She had food. She had clothes. She had love. So much love. Every night I read her a story. She didn't understand all the words, but she listened. Her eyes got heavy and her thumb went into her mouth. Then little by little she fell asleep. I kissed her forehead and whispered, "Good night, my little star." One evening after I put Lena to sleep, I found an old photo album. It had pictures of me and Alex, smiling at the river, sitting in a cafe, holding hands. For a moment I felt a wave of sadness. I touched the photo and whispered, "You left so fast. You never even met her." I closed the album. I didn't want Lena to grow up angry at her father. But one day I knew I would have to tell her the truth. When Lena turned 2, she started speaking more. She said things like up, juice, and hug. One day she looked at me and said, "Mama, happy?" I smiled and said, "Yes, baby. I'm happy." But the truth was, some days I was and some days I wasn't. I started going for short walks in the evening after work. Sometimes I pushed Lena in her stroller. Other times I just sat on the bench in the park and watched other families. I didn't feel jealous anymore. I just felt different. I was a mother, a full-time mother, and I was doing it alone. One weekend Rosa got sick. He couldn't watch Lena. I had to take a day off work. My boss was understanding, but I knew I couldn't keep doing that. I looked for a better daycare option. After many calls, I found a small place nearby run by 2 sisters. They were kind and gentle. I felt safe leaving Lena with them. On Lena's first day at the daycare, she cried when I left. My heart broke. I stood outside the door for 10 minutes. I could hear her crying. But the woman inside smiled and said, "She'll be okay. Just give it time." When I picked her up later, she was playing with blocks. She looked up, saw me, and ran into my arms. That hug melted all my fears. That same week, something unexpected happened. I got a message on my phone from a number I didn't know. It said, "Julia, it's me. Alex." My hands froze. I hadn't heard his name in 2 years. I stared at the message for a long time. My heart beat faster. I didn't reply. A few hours later, he sent another message. "I'm sorry. I think about you and the baby every day." I put the phone down. I didn't sleep much that night. Memories came back. The flower he gave me. His laugh. And then him leaving when I needed him most. I looked at Lena sleeping next to me. I thought, she doesn't know him. He didn't stay. The next day I replied, "Her name is Lena. She's 2 years old. She has your eyes. But she doesn't know your name." He wrote back, "Can I meet her?" I stared at the screen. My fingers moved slowly. I typed, "You left before she was born. Why now?" There was no reply. I waited the whole day, but he didn't reply. At night, as Lena slept beside me, I looked at her soft face. Her small hands were open and relaxed. She looked peaceful. I didn't want her world to change. I didn't want pain to enter her little heart. The next morning I checked my phone again. Still no message. I wasn't surprised. This was who Alex was. He came close, then disappeared. I deleted his number. 2 weeks passed. I focused on work, on Lena, on staying strong. We made a new bedtime game. I would say, "I love you this much," and open my arms wide. She would giggle and say, "More than the moon." And I'd say, "More than the stars." One evening as I left work, I saw a man standing across the street near the daycare. He had dark hair and wore a blue jacket. He looked familiar. My heart skipped a beat. It was Alex. He saw me and took a step forward. I froze. Then I slowly walked toward him. "Julia," he said quietly. I looked at him. "Why are you here?" "I wanted to see her," he said. "Just once." "She's inside," I said. "She doesn't know you." He looked down. "I know. That's my fault." "Yes, it is." There was silence between us. I could hear cars passing and children laughing nearby. Then I asked, "Why now?" He looked up at me. "I thought I could forget. I thought I'd move on. But I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw your face. I thought about her. About what she looks like. About what I missed." I crossed my arms. "You missed her first word. Her first step. Her first birthday. You missed everything." He nodded. "I know. You can't just walk back in." "I don't want to hurt her. Or you," he said. "But I want to try, even if it's late." I didn't answer. I turned to look at the daycare door. I could hear Lena laughing inside. "Let me meet her," he said softly. "I don't know," I replied. "She's happy. She feels safe. I don't want to break that." "Just once," he said. "Let me say hello." I looked into his eyes. For the first time he looked scared. Not because of me, but because of the chance he already lost. I thought for a long moment. Then I said, "Tomorrow. Same time. I'll bring her out. But you only say hello. That's all." He nodded slowly. "Thank you." I walked away, my heart heavy. Was I making the right choice? The next day I got Lena ready a little earlier. I brushed her hair and tied it in a small ponytail. She wore her favorite yellow sweater. She looked at me and said, "Mama, park today?" I smiled softly. "Not today, sweetie. We're just going to meet someone." As we walked to the daycare, my heart was heavy. I didn't know if I was doing the right thing. I only knew that I needed to see if Alex meant what he said. He was there, standing by the tree near the sidewalk. He held a small teddy bear in his hand. When Lena saw him, she stopped walking. She looked at him, then at me. "Who's that, Mama?" I knelt beside her. "That's someone I used to know," I said gently. "He wants to say hello to you." Lena held my hand tightly. I walked with her to Alex. He looked nervous. "Hi, Lena," he said quietly. "I'm Alex. I know your Mama." Lena didn't answer. She just looked at him. Then she looked at the bear in his hand. He bent down slowly. "This is for you," he said. "I hope you like it." She looked at me. I nodded. She reached out and took the teddy bear. She hugged it but stayed close to me. Alex smiled. "Thank you for letting me see her," he said to me. I nodded. "That's enough for today," I said softly. He looked disappointed, but he understood. "Maybe one day," he started. I stopped him. "Maybe. But right now she has everything she needs." He looked at Lena one more time. "Goodbye, sweet girl," he said. "Be happy." Then he turned and walked away. Lena looked up at me. "He's nice," she said. "Can we go home now?" "Yes," I said. "Let's go home." That night I lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. I thought about everything. The day I found out I was pregnant. The day Alex left. The day Lena was born. And today, the day he met her, even for just a moment, I didn't know what would happen next. Maybe he would call again. Maybe he would disappear. But I knew one thing: I wouldn't chase him. If he wanted to be a part of her life, he would have to prove it. With time. With actions. Not words. The next few weeks went on like normal. Lena played with her teddy bear every night. She named it Moon. She made a small bed for it beside her pillow. One night she looked at me and said, "Mama, why don't I have a papa?" I froze for a second. Then I sat on the bed and held her hand. "Some papas go away," I said gently. "But mamas stay." I stayed. And I will always stay. She looked at me and smiled. "I like it when it's just us." I hugged her tight. "Me too." Years passed. I watched Lena grow into a strong, kind, and smart girl. She loved drawing, reading, and dancing in the kitchen. I went to every school meeting, every dance show, every parent day. Sometimes Alex sent messages. Sometimes he called. But he never stayed for long. And Lena never asked much about him again. I was both mother and father. I gave her double the love, double the hugs, double the stories at night. One day when Lena was 7, she brought home a drawing. It was a picture of two people, a tall one and a small one. They were holding hands under the sun. "That's me and you, Mama," she said. "Just us. Like always." I looked at the drawing and smiled with tears in my eyes. "Yes, my love. Just us. Always."